Helicopter parenting. That's what we're going to talk about in this video. I'm Brad Zood with InfluencerParenting.com. I'm going to tell you everything you need to know about helicopter parenting. We're going to go over the 5 negative effects of helicopter parenting, which is like a 30-some-odd-year-old, school of thought that the millennials then came along and kicked that up about 20 notches with bulldozer parenting, snowplow parenting, lawnmower parenting. Millennials. I'm going to show you why boxing has more to do with raising good children than anything else. And I'm going to show you how to make the shift from the mindset of raising children to raising something else. And it's going to be good. So watch this whole video, like and subscribe below. Let's do this. The strongest influence in your child's life wins. Is that you?
I'm Brad Zood, and this is Influencer Parenting.
Again, I'm Brad Zood with Influencer Parenting, and today we're talking helicopter parenting, which is basically over-parenting, right? It's taking perfectly capable children and not letting them do what they know how to do because you want to do it for them because you've got a fear of a lot of different things. So obviously think of a helicopter that kind of hovers over a situation, right? Think of a rescue mission, this and that. Well, a helicopter parent is one that kind of hovers over their children to make sure that they don't get into too much trouble or that nothing bad really happens, and they can swoop down at a moment's notice and save them from trouble anytime. As a parent of 7 children, I get because no one wants to see their children get harmed or get their heart broken or hurt or anything like that. But helicopter parents do it all the time. They hover, constantly watching over their children in unnecessary ways at unnecessary times. And with helicopter parenting, it's not so much the hovering over and constantly watching as much as it is interacting frequently and often and in times that you don't really have to. A second reason why parents become helicopter parents is because they have such anxiety about the unknown as well. So, will my child grow up to do this? Will they grow up to be married? Will they go to college? Is there a job market out there? They focus on intangible issues and grind them up too early and too often. Now, I love goal setting and I love vision for our children, but for my 7-year-old, I'm not really going to be like, if you don't learn long division, you're never going to get into college. That's a parental emotion that the parents are unfairly placing on their children and making their children carry that burden. So, real talk, one of the biggest things that is the fuel to helicopter parenting is social media. Although I enjoy being on Facebook and Instagram and interacting with all the IP family out there, the thousands of parents that want to become the strongest influence in the lives of their child that live all over the world, Facebook and Instagram and all the other social media platforms, they do a lot of harm to parents. What happens is those platforms create a false reality of what perfect parenthood looks like. Moms see their other mom friends posting pictures of the cookies they just baked or the award their child just won or whatever the deal is, and it builds this monumental pressure to have our children rise to some standard that seems to be a lot more true than it actually is. Listen, let's be honest. Facebook and Instagram, they're just highlight reels. Your friends aren't really put together any more than you really are, I promise. So then those perfect families post perfect pictures and it puts more pressure, and then parents hover over more to try to get their kids to achieve more so that they can post their pictures on Instagram. And it's a vicious cycle. And quite honestly, a slippery slope that will have you fall right into becoming the next helicopter parent. One of the core issues of helicopter parenting is that parents bring these humongous expectations to the table. Now, like I said before, I'm all about setting vision and having goals and even plenty of expectations. Expectations have to be real and fair and actually attainable. And when parents have these huge expectations that my child by this age is going to be doing this and we need to be on track for this, things get out of hand fast. So one of the most prominent areas that we see this in is youth sports. Just go to your local Little League game, your local Little League basketball game, and you will find the parents that are helicopter parents that want to make sure that their kids are this and their kids are this and they're on track to go to the big league, right? Another issue with helicopter parenting is guilt. Society now tells us for whatever reason that if we don't just completely immerse ourselves in our children and make them the center of the universe and dive headfirst into every single thing that they do, that we're somehow terrible parents. Love your children, be involved in their world, spend lots of quality time with them, pour into their lives, but you cannot make your children the center of the universe. Like I said, I'll link the video above here to permissive parenting. No one outright says, I want my children to become the center of the universe. No one has that as a thesis for their children. But that's what happens so much when we listen to the guilt of society that just says, hey, if you're not just completely focused on this and grooming the idolatry of your children, then you're a bad parent. Here's what we have to do. We have to not parent based out of our personality, and we have to not parent based on our own experience as a child with our parents. I work with thousands of parents literally all over the globe. And a lot of parents just go to a default parenting mode. They either do the complete opposite of how they were raised, or they do exactly how they were raised. So here's some homework for you. I want you to go on date night with your spouse, okay? Which you should be. We talk about date night lots at Influencer Parenting. You need to be going out on date night at least once or twice a month with your spouse minimum. Greta and I strive to go out once a week without our children, and that's what we teach at Influencer Parenting. And you're like, oh my gosh, Brad, that sounds crazy. We haven't been out on a date night in months, let alone once a week. But it's not really that hard if you put some effort into it. I'm sure you have friends that have children and they would like to go out on a date night. So you just say, hey, you drop your kids off on Friday. We'll watch your kids. We'll drop our kids off on Saturday. And that takes care of 95% of people's ability to go out on date night. But I want you to go out on date night, take a blank sheet of paper. And what you're going to do is design how you want to be parents, what you want your parenting style to look like. And it shouldn't be this, well, this is how I was raised, or this is how I was raised, so I want to do the exact opposite. Put effort and intentionality into the types of parents you want to be and the type of family culture you want to have, and not just have your parenting be some sort of side effect of how you were raised. What's so ironic about helicopter parenting is that parents go through all this effort to actually prevent things and emotions, and it actually promotes them. So here are 5 things that helicopter parenting tries to prevent, but actually promotes, okay? Number 1, these children lack confidence that they can do things on their own. So here, parents don't want children to lack confidence, but the fact that they go in and actually do things for their children makes them lack confidence because they haven't really ever done it themselves. Number 2 is that children become less competent when their parents constantly do things for them. They actually don't get the practice of becoming competent in that skill. They never master anything. Number 3, the children of helicopter parents have some of the highest levels of depression and anxiety out of any type of parenting style. Number 4, a lot of helicopter parents' children become entitled or spoiled. They become used to having someone always do everything for them, and they become drastically dependent on their parents the rest of their lives. Look, when you have someone doing something for you all the time, it's super easy to get emotionally, mentally, physically lazy. Okay, so I'm literally sitting here editing the video, and I forgot to tell you guys what number 5 was, so here it goes. Number 5, the children of helicopter parents, they have underdeveloped physical and mental skills. Look, as a dad, I can do most things better than my children, right? Most adults can, but I want them to do it. I want to push them to grow both physically and mentally. I don't want them to be underdeveloped, and that can be one of the side effects of children of helicopter parents. So that's number 5. Sorry about that. Let's get back to the video. Look, think back to your childhood. Some of you today were raised by helicopter parents and you're still feeling the effects of it. Some of you married a child of helicopter parents and you are still feeling the effects of it. Okay, so in the beginning of the video, I said, hey, we're not raising children. So here's what we're raising. We're raising future adults. Greta, my wife, and I, we have 7 children in our house, and we're not raising children. We're raising people to grow up to be adults. That's the goal. I'm not trying to make them children. I'm trying to make them adults. I want them to be strong and independent and capable of making decisions and capable of being smart, independent thinkers. And most importantly, I want them to be confident to raise their children someday. There's an old saying that goes, when you teach your children, you're teaching your children's children. And it's so true. That's why we're all about influence here at Influencer Parenting. That's the best way to raise your children. It's the strongest tool that you have. At the end of the day, when they're all grown up and you can't hover over them anymore, you're left with one thing, and that's your influence. And we want an influential relationship to start as early on with your child as possible. And when you're an influencer, you're able to speak into someone's life and guide them, but they ultimately have to make their way through life. Look, it's about learning by training versus learning by doing. There's a time where your children need to learn by training. You have to show them, you have to help them. Then there's a time where there's learning by doing, where they actually have to go out and do what you've trained them to do. And when they're younger, a high majority is going to be the training, and a little percentage is going to be the doing part. Well, as they get older, there's going to be kind of less training and kind of more doing. And then that's finally going to morph over to they're going to learn most about life through actually doing. That's how we as adults learn, is primarily through doing things. So think of a boxer, right? They practice, they train, they practice, they train, but then they have to step into the ring all by themselves without their training coaches, just mano-a-mano them against another fighter where they're punching and getting punched in the face. We would think it's ludicrous if someone trains to be a boxer for a very long time, but actually never steps in the ring to box. That's exactly what helicopter parents do, is that they train their children, but they actually never let them go out and do the things that they taught them. They're there hovering, making sure nothing bad happens to them. And now we have millennials that have come along and said, well, I'm not only just going to hover over my children, I'm actually going to bulldoze, snowplow, or lawnmower. I'm actually going to clear the obstacles in front of my children so I can not just swoop down if they get in trouble. I'm going to clear the way so that they don't actually get into the trouble in the first place. Oh, help us. So honestly, look, I hope you found that beneficial. And if you did, drop a like, drop a comment. We love responding to the IP fam. Subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss the next one. And look, reach out to us. If you're struggling in your parenting, you feel like you're lost, or you just want the shortcut to become an influencer and make things easy, reach out to us. Go to the link in the description. We would love to have you join the IP fam, work directly with us and thousands of other parents just like you wanting to do the same thing. All right, that's it. We'll see you on the next one, IP fam.
The strongest influence in your child's life wins. Is that you? I'm Brad Zood, and this is Influencer Parenting.